Hi everyone, it's Laura here from Gray & Company, and today I'm here to start November's Creative Maker Box. So let's get started. There's a few different projects in this box. So we've got our base to our new interchangeable easel stand, and you'll have these pieces with it. Then you will have your design piece and the front pieces to go with it. I haven't cut that yet, and I'm not doing that in this video, but we're going to use this piece as well because we need to stain this, so we might as well do it all at once. Then we have our greenery, which we will paint in olive in a little bit, but let's do all of these pieces. First, I would suggest making sure that these pieces fit in here. Our wood shifts in thickness all the time, so one week I can have one size slot and the next week I gotta sand them all. So what I suggest before we stain this, and so that way we don't have to sand off the stain that we just put on, is just sand these really quick so that they fit into this notch. So I'm just gonna kind of do it off camera here so I keep my spot nice and clean. So I'm just doing it on the back side, the part that has the char, and I'm just doing it a little bit and then just keep trying it. I've only got a fine one here that comes with the box, but if you've got the gritty one somewhere, then that would be your better bet. But I'm just gonna do this really quickly, and then we're gonna try it again. So yeah, if I wiggle it enough, it might even have, yeah, there we go. So it's in there. So I'm just gonna pause, do the second one, and then we're going to stain. Okay, my last one is done. So if you get it stuck trying to pull it out, just grab a pair of pliers, but mine is working fine. So you will need your foam brush, you'll need some paper towel of some sort, and the stain that we've given you. So let's get started here. So I'm just going to start with the big one. I'm just going to start in the back. And I think we have some new people on this box. So when I like to stain, I get my brush in there and then I turn it on its side with my couple of fingers and I wipe it on that way rather than letting the brush just do whatever it wants. I have more control of where it's gonna go. I'm gonna use less, and so you can see my two fingers are right over top, and then I'm just gonna wipe that all back to blend it. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over, do the other side, so give it a dip. Usually one dip is enough, depending how big your project is. I just flipped it over because I can still feel the extra stain in the brush. Sometimes I gotta push on it maybe a little higher or whatsoever, but there we go. And then wipe to blend. Okay, so we're gonna set that one there. I'm gonna do these smaller ones right now while I have little stain in my brush. And I'm just gonna wipe it off. So these pieces you're gonna do both sides. Okay, this one you're just gonna do the good side, and I still have enough stain in my brush. Keep doing that. Okay, that one's done. This one, we're only gonna do the front part because we'll glue on the back, so I'm gonna wanna be careful. Actually, I'm gonna do this piece first, just because I have a bigger surface area. So I'm just gonna, we're gonna do both sides of this one, and I'm gonna do it all at once, and then wipe it all back. Just gonna grab those edges to hold it. That one can sit there. Now I should have enough in here to do this one. We're gonna dry brush this one anyways with some white, so it doesn't have to be overloaded with stain. Just a nice light coverage there. Okay, so that's the main part of the stand. And on this particular one, we're staining, and then we are coming back and doing a wash, and then we're coming back and doing some dry brushing. So we're gonna do a stain first and let this dry. And then we're gonna wipe this back. Okay, so we don't need to do the backside. You're never gonna see it in your stand. So we're just gonna leave it there. And yeah, that's everything we need to stain on this particular project, okay? So I will be back later when we're ready to do the dry brushing on this one, okay? See you soon, guys. Okay guys, I'm back. So the next part I'm gonna do is the wash. So I've just sanded this. I didn't want to do it on camera, so that way I could keep the dust off of here and not jiggle the video. So you're gonna need this piece. You're gonna need a container, and if I remember correctly, I don't think we put one in there, so I gotta remember to do that. And then you're gonna need some measuring devices. Now, normally I wouldn't say use your ones you use for the kitchen in here, but I'm gonna fill mine with paint really quick, and then I'm gonna run and wash it as soon as possible, and then I'll come back. So so what we're gonna do 4 parts paint, no, stop, 4 parts water to 1 part paint. So I'm gonna do 1 teaspoon of water to 1/4 teaspoon of paint. So this is the only one that's gonna have paint on it. You're gonna need, well, I'm gonna use my, no I'm not, I'm going to use my 1-inch brush, so that'll go on faster. And I'm probably just gonna grab some sort of brush here so I can mix the paint up really well, since we don't have a whole lot in there. So I'm gonna start with some water. Now, honestly, when I did this, I don't even remember what I measured it as, so I'm hoping I'm close to what I wanted to do originally when I'm trying to figure out the finishes. So I'm going to fill this, and then I'm going to just go run off camera. So I'm just gonna fill it to 1/4 ounce. I'm just gonna get all my paint out of there, and I will be right back. Okay, if I was at the store, I'd have one specifically for paint, but I never remembered to bring it home. So if you have a set, just because we've done this before, you can just, you know, use that and then wash it after. But we're gonna figure this out. I'm just stirring it really well. So we're kind of like making like well, it's a wash, but it's like a stain. So you're gonna take your brush, always try and go for the bottom, and I'm spilling it everywhere. Like stir it with the bottom, and then just take it all off on the side of your cup. And we're just going to paint it on. Try and get all those edges. Try and get as even as possible. If you have to dip again, just do the same thing, go from the bottom. There. And I'm just going to let it dry. So I'm just trying to make sure I don't pull my brush while I'm doing that, but that's it. You're just gonna leave it. It's gonna take a little longer to dry because there's so much water in there. But that's all we're doing for this step. So I'm just gonna leave it for now. I'm not gonna do any dry brushing yet because I need to do dry brushing on here, and then I'll come back and do dry brushing on here. If it's I'm gonna wait till it's dry. I'm not gonna dump this yet. I'm just going to put it off to the side somewhere, because if I feel like I need a second coat, then we're gonna do that with the same stuff that we have. No point making some new stuff. So don't throw it away. I'll let you know if we need it or not. Okay, so I'll be back in a bit. Hey guys, I'm back. So I haven't done a second coat yet because sometimes it's deceiving to me until I get this white whether or not I need another coat. I think it's fine. I just don't want to say yes to that until I've done this. So we're gonna jump ahead and I'm gonna dry brush this. I'll have to come back and dry brush that one after. If I think it's fine, then we'll dry brush it right away. If it's not, then I got to do another coat over here. So I'm going to just grab a little of my white, and I haven't sanded this yet. I usually, when I dry brush, I kind of like to leave it because then it's got some texture for me to grab onto. So I'm just taking my 2-inch brush, taking all that excess paint, and I'm just coming in here. And I'm gonna just come in here and dry brush. Now it's gonna hit every edge and it's gonna go on a lot easier than if you had big surfaces. So you're kinda gonna have to really make sure you've got nothing on your brush, and we'll constantly have to keep turning it because you don't wanna just come from one edge. Otherwise it will kind of be heavier one way than the other. So I might come down here and pull on this lip here. So I need a little bit more paint. Okay. Oops, there's still too much on there. One thing I don't remember is if I don't think I did the inside here because it's not gonna matter once you get that in there, you're not gonna see it. And we really don't wanna build a paint lip up here, but we will come back on the outside and dry brush on the edge. So you just keep playing with it until you like what you've done, and then you can come back in and do the sides. And I'm sorry if I'm jiggling everything everywhere. When I dry brush, I tend to do that. So let's see if I can hold. No, I can't hold it up. Really just pouring out very little paint so you guys can do it however you want out of your container or just pour it, but I usually have to go back another time and do it again on the outside because one coat is just, it gets still too dark for me, but and then just make sure that when you do the edges, sometimes you have to come back and blend some of that out. Okay, so while that's drying, this makes it a bit more helpful as to whether or not I want another coat. And looking at this, I'm just gonna sand it, guys. I think I have to dry brush it too. Hold on, guys. I just hold on. I'm going to pause for a sec. Okay, so I looked at my picture and I think it'll be okay. That's what happens when I don't bring it home with me, but sometimes I'm just making things up as I go when I do these things. So, of course, that's been like a couple weeks ago, so sometimes I don't always remember. I'm just going to come back in here and do the edge again. I'm just going to come in here and blend anything that might have made the edge look a little funny. Okay, so that's fine. So then with this one, we're not going heavy like that. We're really just doing, I'm pulling more from the top. Almost like a dusting of snow. Okay. I want my top to be a little bit more frosted. And if I do some this way, just careful not to make a huge lip up here or down there. Okay, let's see. I think that's enough because I don't want them too close to the same. I want them still to be a bit of a contrast. I want it to be more brown here because we still have all those other colors to put over top. So right now I'm going to leave it just like that until I do these pieces, and I don't have these pieces with me right now. So just make sure you get all your dry brushing done. Mine is good, I'm fine with it. And then I'll, when I continue the video, then I'll figure out if this needs any more, but I think we should be good. All right, so I'll see you guys on the next part. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to do the last piece for the holder here. So we're gonna need olive. And we can do that. Now, when you're doing this, if you want to be doing it all together, painting all your green things, then you can lay out all your ornaments and paint all your olive, paint your, I don't remember if there's olive on here. I don't think there is. I think that's bayberry on there, but it's easier if you're painting all those pieces out the same color at once. I haven't had a chance to cut a set for me to do as I'm doing this video, so I'll be working on that on a different day, but it is easier if you can just get it all done at once, and then you can always assemble after. So, so grab your sponge, grab your olive, and then you can come in here. We're gonna do a couple coats, and I have a feeling, there we go, that's better. Okay, so we're gonna do 2 coats all together. I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna come back, do another one, and then when that's dry, then we'll put the base stand together. So that'll be one video, or I might continue doing this one in the same video, but either way, we're just gonna finish with the one project right now, and then I'll do the rest of them after. So I will see you in a few minutes, and we will do the second coat. Okay, so coat number 2, let's give this a sand first. And then just a little bit more. Okay, so while that's drying, we can go ahead and start assembling this. Now, you'll want to sand all your pieces. I did this. So you want to sand front and back. I just stressed my edges because I like that. And I did the back side too. I haven't sanded this one yet, so I'm just going to come in here and give this a sand. You can wear down those edges if you want. Okay, so that one's done. So I always say with these ones is check to make sure that first of all it fits inside there. It should. I had to do some editing on it, but you should have no problem getting that in and out. And you can always check to see if one way fits better than the other, but they should be fine whichever way you stick this frame. Okay, so I'm trying to remember what I did first. So maybe it'll be easier to do the markings first because it's flat in the front. So let's just come in here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make this even with the bottom here. And I'm just going to, you want to make sure that it's not tilted. So definitely make sure it's at the bottom, but then make sure it's straight. And I know, guys, we usually like to put the markings on the back so that you can not have to do this, but unfortunately this design you can't do it that way. So I'm just coming in here. I can put my head in the video. So what I'm doing is I'm laying this piece over top and I'm centering this part in these brackets, because remember we're going to put these in here, and then those I'll figure out a name for them. Those little end pieces will go through those D pieces there. So I just kind of getting an idea where this piece is to go. And my hair is probably in the camera. There we go. So just getting an idea. I know my tape is not straight at all. I need a pencil. I don't have a pencil, so I'm going to grab a pen. So gives me an idea, just even though my tape isn't straight. So I'm just eyeballing this. I mean, if you really want to get out there, I mean, I can kind of tell center is here because of the point. So I'm just going to draw the faintest of lines, and no one's ever going to see this. So it kind of tells me where to glue this in place. So that's where I'm going to have that, and I'm just going to double check it with my measurements to make sure that it's somewhat halfway. Okay, let me come back up here, slide it back down to my, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, mine are fairly tight, so I don't feel like I need glue in there to keep them from moving. So I'm just going to push mine in there, and I might, so if you have a hammer, you can tap these into there. Just trying to remember how I did this one, because this one, like the other, some of them, the designers make this so, you know, it's easy to take this in and out. Well, this one isn't that way. So if we do these two at the same time, then we have to make sure we put them both in there at the same time, which is fine because we can just glue it all on at once. But you have to make sure that these are all in there and flat and flush against this. So I am going to go out to my garage and I'm going to go tap those in there. You can do whatever you have to, and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So mine are completely the same all the way across. Okay, so if by chance you sanded these a bit too much and they're too loose, then you'll have to glue this on first and then and then glue this one into place on the board. Then attach this, then put that in there and this hook at the same time. So whichever way you ended up doing it, it all depends on how much you sand it. So you want the good side facing out, although I had to do a lot of sanding, so we're probably pretty even on both sides. You can't really tell which is the char part, but I'm just going to explain that again. If you made these and they're really tight still, then get them started and then tap them in with a hammer, but make sure you put this piece in at the same time. If by chance you sanded them too much and you have to glue them in, then you will want to glue on this piece only, then come in and glue one of your D-rings into its appropriate slot. Once that one's dry, take this piece and attach them next into their slots, and then put obviously with the glue. So, but we can do this all at once now, so which is sometimes easier. And I need a pin. So I'm just going to be right back. I'm just going to grab some pliers. Okay, let's try this again. So if you're finding your bottles get stuck sometimes and you don't have a pin, you can pull that piece out. Don't lose it, because you're going to need to plug that bottle up again. And you can just use the glue from that little spout. Now I'm putting some glue over top of the bracket pieces I just put in there, and I'm going to put this back in here so it doesn't plug up on me. There we go. I'll just put my cap back on. Okay, so with your markings, I've got one here and a faint little line there and there. I'm going to turn this over. Probably get my face in the camera. All right. So even with this, because the D-ring, it'll pull down to the bottom, it's level there. So they don't have to be necessarily centered, but now is your time. You can position all of this at once. The biggest thing is you really want to make sure that this is somewhat centered, straight, and even on both sides. And I'm just trying to put some pressure down on both sides. I mean, there's so much wiggle room in there. If you didn't get it perfect, it's going to adjust itself to make sure that it sits how it needs to balance itself. So it isn't the end of the world if it's off a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a second, then we're going to flip it over and we're going to glue on this part onto the other side. Okay, so now when it's dry, you're going to flip it over. Now, obviously it's unlevel, so I'm just going to set something underneath here to balance it. It can be anything that you've got. My rolls of tape seem to make this fairly level, so that's what I'm going to use. So now we're just going to put some glue on that back side, and I gotta pull it out again here. Yes, normally I could just squeeze it from that, but all right. Okay, now carefully just hover over the top first, make sure you've got it lined up where it needs to be, and then gently set it into place. Give it a push so that glue has a chance to grab the wood, and then use your hands and make sure that you have it where it needs to be. Now, if you're finding your piece doesn't want to stay, if there's a little tiny bow to it, which sometimes happens, then grab some tape and tape those layers together. And I don't think I actually need to, but I'm just demonstrating what you should do. So put some there and then wrap it around to the back. make sure when you're doing this that you're not sliding the frame around, and then check those edges. You definitely want it to make contact. Wipe any excess glue away. If you get some glue in the inside, I got a little bit, just a little bit. It'll dry clear here shortly, but don't put this piece in there while this is still drying, because then otherwise it will no longer be interchangeable. So I'm just centering. I'm just letting it sit on top of one thing of tape right now, and I'm just going to let it sit here right there. Now it won't affect me gluing this on, so I can do that at the same time, and we will put that on the top there. So sandpaper, so give it a sand. I'm going to give it a light distressing on the edges, and same thing, we're going to put, so you can see these areas here, they are going to make that flush up against there, and then you can kind of do your best to center it there. So you can kind of see where you need to put your glue, not all the way. Come in here, just put a little bit there. I think we're fairly even. There we go. And then set that in place, and then give it a little press there, and then that can dry too while you're letting your frame dry as well. So that one is done. I will come back and we will continue the rest of this, and we'll do the ornaments as well. On this one I'll probably share on the same video. I can always chop it off after and do a second one, and then the ornaments I'll do them on a completely separate video since it's a different project altogether. All right, so we'll see you guys back here in a bit. Kate, bye. Hey guys, Kate, so I'm back to do the next part. So I'm not really sure how I left off, but because that's been like a week ago for me. So so right now we're going to work on the front of the sign. And I've already forgot a color. I already know as I was doing this. So we're going to truck along without it, and then I'll finish that up later. So on the ornament parts, you have the top part, which is what I'm missing. We got the gray. So I'm going to tape those off so that I have a nice clean line. I think that's where that is, yeah. So you'll just put some tape across if you want, or you can freehand it. Just give it a rub there so it kind of seals that up. This one's a little trickier because you're coming from two sides, so I'm just gonna play with my tape. We do have the greenery going over top, so it's not like it has to be perfect, but I want to get it close as I can. So just rip some smaller tapes to do this. Okay, and then I'll just come in here with a knife. I have my knife. Oh, there it is. So I'm just going to come in here and clean that up there. There we go. Okay, so there's that one, and I got to do this one up here too. So, okay, so that's the three parts there. So where's my picture? So this part, make sure I get them right this time. Okay, so this one is red, the more ornate one. That's the red one, and then we have white, and then we have olive. So if we're going to work with red right now, I'm going to do this one, and then we've got the 4 berries. So the best thing to do with the berries is tape them to a surface. I mean, if you have to, you can use the template that they're cut in and just put some tape on the back, but they're pretty far apart. So at the same time, let's see where you can see all this. So I guess you can see over here. So I'm just going to line up my berries, Put them up at the top. And then I'm going to put these guys below. We'll do those after. And I will probably put my words on some tape as well, just because they're very fragile. So you can tape those into your template, that's fine. Mine is, I'm using two different ones because one word was defective when it was cutting. So I'm just gonna set those here. You can see them. Okay, good enough. All right, so I'm gonna start with the red. So if you're doing this, like I don't want to mix videos up, so you can do all your red like on your ornaments and on this all at the same time. For me, it will be two separate videos. But if I was doing this at home, I would be running all that color at the same time. All right, so take some of your red. And so you just have to be, I guess I could have done this because I know I definitely don't want to get any red on my white because that is just not easy to cover up. And I'd rather use a few extra pieces of tape so I can move a little faster and not have to be so careful. Okay, close enough. There we go. Now I can go at it a little faster there. So the red will take, it can take 3, it's just the type of color it is. So right now I can still see a lot of the wood grain underneath. And then I'm just gonna come over here with no extra and then just do those. So I'm just gonna repeat, I'm just gonna come back here in a minute and keep doing that, and then we'll swap. Actually, you know what, let's do this. Let's move on to a different color at the same time. We'll do 2 at once. So if you have extra sponges, go ahead, grab those. I'm gonna grab Bayberry, and we're gonna move over to these pieces over here, and we're gonna get those done at the same time. Okay, so that one's done. Let's check on the red. It's almost dry, so the berries are definitely dry. So grab some sandpaper. Let's find one that I can do red with. Grains of sand. This one, it's close. I'm just gonna gently do it anyways. If you can put your red on pretty uniform and even, then you're less likely to have to do too many coats. We'll see how that dries. These guys will give it a couple minutes, so I will be right back. Okay, let's do the green again. Carefully sand that. My tape is moving. Sorry guys that they're off to the side. Oops, I see a piece that is stuck in there. Hold on. There we go. All right, so the 2 coats on there will be fine. The red, I'm gonna do 1 more just because I have it here anyways, so. All right, so I'm gonna say 3 on the red. I'm gonna let that dry for sure because I need to be able to tape from that direction. So I'm gonna peel that off, which now I noticed I didn't do extremely straight. So I'm just gonna come in here and there we go, fix that. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry and then I'm gonna come around and let's see, what can we do next? We might as well do white next. So I'm just gonna peel this one off, and after I'll come back and tape it the other way. And we'll do white on the ornament and white on the words. All right, so I'll see you shortly. Okay, that should be dry enough to do a quick tape here. So I'm going to come at this side and I don't need to fully like touch it, just enough to let it settle on it. Okay, now onto the white. Okay, so we're going to do the ornament, and yeah, this one's white. So this one is the white one. And then come over here, do your words. If you're doing them in your template, just be careful not to use too heavy a paint so that you get them stuck in there. These ones are very fragile, so you're going to want to pay extra attention to how you handle these. Okay, so that's the first coat. So that's the same thing we're going to do for every bit. So I'm not going to come back for each coat of paint. I'll finish the white up, and then I'll come back, we'll do the olive, and I'll show you, and then I'll finish it, and then that way it'll be faster on the video, because I know you guys know what you're doing, and then we'll get that all put together. Actually, we can't put it together because I forgot to bring the gray, so, but we'll get as far as I can do, so I will be back soon. Okay, so I've done my 3 coats of white on this. I've done the red, and now I've retaped to do the olive color. So I'm going to come in here and do the same thing. Oops. All right, so same thing, come in here, do your olive. Should only take you 2 coats. It's a good color, it covers very well. So get your first one on, and then we'll come back. I'll come back after once it's totally dry, and I will get, and then we'll move on to not putting it together. I'll probably skip ahead for me, and I'll start the ornaments, but yeah, so we'll get this done and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm done all of these 3, and I'm going to come back, and I did the same thing when I did the sample, so it's really quite funny that I forgot. So so this is all done except for doing the gray color on there, so I'm just going to set that off to the side. Now the only other thing that I did on these was that I dry brushed some white so they look a little frosted. So I'm just going to turn these ones around so they're facing down instead of up, because I want the dry brushing just to come from the top part and not the other way. And besides, if you dry brush this way, you're more likely to catch this edge where this will flow a little nicer. So hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, so over there, you know what, let me see if I can stick it on here. It usually doesn't very well. I might have to hold it, but okay, so they're on my tape. And so you would take your white that you have. You don't need very much, and you definitely don't need, let's see, where's my brush? This one will probably work. I don't need to put a whole lot on there, so it pretty much has next to nothing, and I'm just going across the berries. So I don't know if you can, let's see if you can see that closer. So they just look like they're frosted a little bit, like not a whole lot. You don't want to discolor them too much. And I'll do the same on the green. So I'm just going to hold my tape and I'm just coming from the top. Almost like they're just dusting with snow is kind of the idea behind that. Okay, oops. So I've only dipped it that once, and because you have so many edges, that should be enough. So just watch those end tails, because these aren't the, you know, the thickest of pieces. So you can just see that light dusting of white on there. Hope you can see it. You're right underneath the part I can't see on the camera. So that's all we're doing there. So they can just sit there. And so everything about this is done except for the gray. So, so I'm going to leave it there, and then I will come back and we'll finish that up once I have that color. All right. So I will see you soon, and I'm going to go and start the next video. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, I am back, and to do the little gray part, let's get close to my window, there we go, on the ornaments here. So I'm just going to, I don't want to tape it, I just don't feel like it. So what I'm going to do is cut my lid off here first. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to use my brush to paint most of it, and then I'll probably just come in with the sponge carefully and just take anything that I have left and just paint that little part that holds the ornament. So just come in here. We are going to layer the greenery over this, so I'm just going to come in here like this. It just doesn't want to lay so nicely because I'm going against the grain here, so okay, maybe I won't need my brush or my wedge, as long as you don't have too much on that brush. So definitely only 2 coats you'll need. I'm just laying my brush flat so it just kind of grabs it from the back side there. 1 coat might actually be enough, just because I can put more on than my foam wedge, but I'll take a peek here once it's dry and see. But so anyways, you'll do enough coats to what you like on this section. And then when this is all done, I will come back and we will put it all together. Yeah, I can still see, like, whoops, the tiniest bit of wood there, but like I said, we're gonna put that piece of greenery over there, so you really shouldn't see it. So that's all we're doing there. And yeah, then I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Okay, see you soon. Bye. Okay, so my pieces are dry, so I'm going to start putting this together. So the easiest way to do it is to put these ornaments on first. So we're going to peel off that adhesive. And if it wants to peel off the sticky at the same time, just go slow. Roll this back if you have to and give it a rub. I don't know sometimes why it does that, but no matter how much I rub it, it still doesn't want to stick. But just don't pull off fast. Even if it's kind of loose, it'll still stick once you get it on there. Just, you don't want to rip it right off the wood. Otherwise, you may have to use some glue. So just kind of wiggle it off. There we go. Okay, so the red goes up here. Now, if you've got it perfectly lined up, you will have no score marks. Now I'm just going to use the word happy at the same time, because I'm not taking the sticky off, but happy fits in there, and I want to make sure when I've got this lined up that I see no score marks up at the top. And I'm just going to place this one on here too, because when this one's lined up, you won't see any score marks either. So just want to double check, and I do see a little bit on my, oh, but see, I can bend this one a little bit, so you got to be careful because it's very fragile there, so it will cover up that one there. So I think we're good. I'm just going to double check. Oh, no, hold on, I'm going to slide this one just a little bit. Okay, I think we're good. So I'm going to give that one a press. And then we're going to do our happy and our holidays. Now, happy, I thickened these up already from the original designer, but they're still very fragile. So once again, wherever you are pulling on that adhesive backing, you need to support with your fingers, so that way you don't snap that wood. Okay. Okay, and I'm just going to set it in that little notch because that's where it needs to go, and then line up that. So it should sit in here. All those pieces, you can see where that word sits in there. So that one is good. So I'm going to give it a press. This is the one that always worries me too, but just take it slow. Try and avoid holding it on those fragile parts just so you don't accidentally snap it. Okay, that one's done. So bring this in here, careful if it's stuck to your fingers. Line up those notches that you know it fits into, and then just gently. So if this one doesn't quite meet it, you have the ability just to push it down, just because it's so flimsy. So okay, so that looks good to me. So I'm going to give it a press. Now, originally this was supposed to go this way. For some reason, I ended up sticking it this way. So whichever way you choose, I think this time I'm going to go this way with it. And so you can decide which way you like. Okay, I was going to do it again. So just eyeball the center best you can, because I know this tail kind of comes down there. I think I'm okay with that. Okay, so we're going to do the other three on top of the ornaments. Okay, so just like I said, it's supposed to go with the ornament part, like here. So it'll go here, centered with that, covering the where it splits a color. So that's where you want that one. I'm not sure why I thought that one did, but that's okay. We can easily remedy that. Okay, this one goes here. And this one goes here. Sorry guys, all the black char from the back is going all over. And then just find your 4 berries here, and then just line them up with those score marks. Now I have lines on mine for accents. It's really only 2 of them. One goes like here and one goes here. And I thought it was being smart taking all my stuff back to the store to grab the other color, and then I took my white. So, and my paint pen is dried out. So, yeah, you can do those accent lines with the paint pen or a paintbrush and just draw a little swoosh there if you wish. You don't have to, it's not necessary. Like I said, I only did it on those 2 ornaments. So you can decide what you would prefer, but that's what I did. I swear as I get older I forget more things. All right, there's that one, and this one. All right, there we go. We are done. There you go. So then you can, let me grab the stand here. You can set it in there. So there's nothing holding it in, but obviously we're leaning up at an angle, so it's not going to fall out. And then you can just pull on that, just like that. And you can change it out. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that one, and we'll see you guys back for December's. All right, see you guys. Okay, bye.